What are their names though?
Well,
Okay.
he was Wallace Simpson, and
Right.
he was
Let's just
Prince
get this
Edward,
thing
you know,
going.
Prince Edward.
Yeah, Prince Edward.
You're right.
Okay, everybody, let's just get the boring business part over. So
Okay.
let's call this
She was
meeting to
born
order.
Bessie Wallace Warfield.
Thank you.
We value people's input at our meetings and we want to show them respect, so please refrain from interrupting the speaker or getting up and walking away from the table when they are speaking. Hold your comments until they're done, then raise your hand to be called on. So if you guys can join me in eliminating the crosstalk, that would be a wonderful thing. Now, the minutes from the last meeting. Our meeting last month, right before our party, was about 5 minutes long.
Those are even.
That was an e-board.
That was
No,
e-board.
there were minutes from the previous meeting.
Yeah,
That
but
was
they're
just
like,
the e-board meeting, that was before the party, that was not.
I didn't bring them.
Okay.
Is this for the video? Hello worldwide. Okay, so I did not bring the minutes from the last meeting. It's not an amplifier. This is actually, say hello everyone. Hi. People watch us on the web if they want to, so that's what this is for. Okay, so I would like to say that the minutes from the last meeting will be posted and distributed just for formality's sake. So please forgive me for not bringing them tonight. And
I
now,
don't think that works.
what?
I don't think that works.
This is not an amplifier.
Oh, it's good.
It's for this video right here.
Okay.
Yeah. You can wave to that at any time. No flashing, however. We're just Democrats. Okay, so I would like to ask Lynn to please give our treasurer's report. Would you like to stand here and look at that, or you can do whatever, from whenever you want?
I'll stay here.
Okay,
Okay, the.
this is a general meeting. Yes.
The transition from Chris Diwali to me has started. I have training scheduled with him on the 8th.
Oh.
And so he's going to show me all of the tricks of the trade. In our state account, our balance is $338.65. And in the federal account, we have $561.20.
Yay,
Wow.
marked improvement.
I would like to request, Lynn, that when you give your report, that we are allowed to see the expenses and income for the month.
Okay,
Thank
as soon as I get them.
Okay. We
Okay.
don't get that information. We've asked for it many times.
But we're going to
Sure.
now.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah,
Yes, we will.
transparency, is the key.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Now, I'd like to talk about some old business. Do we have to formalize the treasurer report? No. Okay.
What, accept it?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so old business. Newly elected officers are in place. The club charter has been renewed with CalDem. The membership roster has been updated. And when I say that, everybody who is a paid member of our club is on the roster and it's been noted. You know, if you haven't paid up, don't worry. You can do that online. You can, fill out a membership form or give us some money. Or not. What else we got here? A regular date for e-board meetings has been established. Now, this is something I just want to spend a few seconds talking about. We are not going to have the e-board before the meeting anymore because it's too rushed. The e-board is about the people are going to steer this club in a certain way, and we need to have a rational discussion with few distractions. So we're going to have the e-board meetings on the 4th Monday of every month. We're going to have it at Cindy Fowler's office.
444 on the fourth Monday at 444 West Ocean Boulevard. Oh.
Now, everyone is welcome to come to the e-board meetings. If you are not an e-board member, however, you cannot vote and you can't, I hate to say participate. I mean, you can sit in and listen, but it's really about the e-board guys, having a discussion, okay? Yes.
I noticed that you did copy the minutes of the last e-board meeting, so those are available if someone wants to see
What the heck we're talking about. Okay, and like Cindy said, the e-board meeting will be taking place at 444 West Ocean Boulevard, Suite 800, which just happens to be our new official mailing address. All correspondence will be sent there. When we get new cards printed up, that will be the address. You may have noticed on a MailChimp blast that at the bottom, that's what the address is. So I want to thank you, Cindy, for providing that. It's an impressive address. Yes, it
What,
is.
what time will those meetings start?
Those meetings will, hello, how are you doing? The e-board meetings will start at 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Keyboard starts at 6:30.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6:30. E-board, 6:30. Okay,
Corrected.
thank you for correcting me. All right, so let's go to new business. The Yes We Can website domain will be renewed prior to the deadline of March 13th. Cindy is going to handle that. I already talked about the new, pardon me?
Is there a correction in the price?
It is 12.
It is
I've got a
12:42.
copy of it, yeah.
There it is?
Go Daddy, yeah.
Hi, Gwen Lisa.
Great.
Yeah, that's what I said, great. Less is better, we like that. I already talked about how the correspondence is going to be sent to the new address. And now I would like to adjourn the business part of the meeting. So can I get a motion to adjourn the business part of the meeting? Okay. Second, anybody? Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're going to move on to our equity and MOVI team updates. So we all voted on what the two big issues were for our club. So we have been doing some things around equity and around MOVI. And tonight's goal is we would like to identify a team of organizers that want to collaborate with other people to research, create, and plan an event that will further awareness of our two issues. And this could be something as simple as a house party and say show pay to play, or this could be something really involved like, you know, having a screening someplace or something like that. And what I want to do is show you this slideshow. Can you start the slideshow?
Oh, fireworks at the,
Queen Mary.
Queen Mary.
See, I thought it was Stuart tapping on his iPhone.
Don't know.
They're having him this early.
Oh, the pin in this bit, that's what it is.
How do you stop it? Because it's going from one event, it's skipping
It's getting
around.
in the
No,
way
it's
of
one,
our
it's in chronological
Oh,
order.
no.
Let's
Can we pause it or
It's getting
something?
great to us.
Yeah, pause.
Did we ever get any?
So, this was a very busy month, and a lot of you are aware of that. There were 5 different actions that Yes We Can members participated in. It was exciting, it was fun. So we're doing these in chronological order. One of the things that the equity team set as a goal was to educate themselves. Sorry, I'm standing right in your way.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, I'm gonna stand over here then. Okay. Oh, right, okay. So one of the goals of the equity team, people said, well, we need to educate ourselves because this covers a lot of issues and it can be complicated. So we really want to learn more about these issues. So there are different ways to do that. I've sent some links to things, and Cindy Fowler has done a bang-up job of finding all kinds of links to things. More about that later, I guess. But another opportunity to educate ourselves was to go to a town hall given by Long Beach Housing. This is not in the town hall, but we don't have a picture of that. In any case, so it was an informational meeting mainly to tell us about the REAP program, which is a program to try to nudge the slumlords to fix up their units. And what they do is if a tenant complains about mold or cockroaches or some kind of unhealthy condition, in the past, or right now, without protection, they could evict them or raise their rent and still not fix the problem. But with the REAP program, they file a complaint with the city inspector comes out and verifies that the unsafe condition does exist, and then they give the landlord 3 months to fix it. And a reasonable landlord would do that. But there are some slumlords that just don't want to do anything. So if they don't fix it after 3 months, yeah, you need to go back to the beginning. This is like way ahead of where we are. I I know, but that's a whole different event.
I know, that's all the slides we have on that event, so just keep going.
Okay, but that's all the way up to event number 3, and I'm talking about event number 1. So anyway, Maria, when Lisa and I were at the town hall, and so we learned about this REAP program, which they're going to try to get the city council to approve. So it was mostly informational, and so that was the educate ourselves part. So the very first slide on here shows you the action. And a bunch of us participated in that. There was, first of all, a march to City Hall. That's the very first slide in the series. That's part of the march. Yeah, especially the house. See, housing.
What do the t-shirts say?
The t-shirt said Neighbors United, and then it says Long Beach Housing. Yeah, they were selling the t-shirts for the marchers for a donation. So we marched from St. Luke's Episcopal Church to City Hall, and once we got to City Hall, there was a rally that was attended by a group of Yes We Canners. There was Eddie, Gwen, Lisa, Nada was there. Yeah, there's Eddie. There's Gwen, Lisa.
Yeah, my son name was Harris.
Sorry. That's what happens when you do this at like midnight.
Late night typing gets you into trouble. So. And then afterwards, we went to the city council meeting, and there were people who spoke in favor of the program. And then those of us who were in the audience were holding letters that spelled out safe homes, I think. I'm not sure. I had the M. That's all I know. So it's something that they've been lobbying the city council to do. So yeah, I was going to ask Nada and Eddie to talk about it, so I'm not doing all the talking, but they're not here. Do you have anything to add, when Lisa? Because you were there. It wasn't up for a vote that night. They had been a little more favorable at the outset, and Jorge Rivera has been lobbying them. He's been taking renters to the various city council meetings to tell them what the conditions are like. But then the apartment owners weighed in and said, no, we don't want anything like that. So now the city council is backing off a little bit. Stella, do you know if there's any further update on that? Or
well, and I know that they've been taking the city council members to people's homes. To
that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
The apartment buildings.
That's clear.
And yeah, and so it was Rex Richardson and Nina Gonzalez that went to people's homes, and they were just like amazed at the living conditions.
Linda has a question.
No, I don't have a question. I just wanted to add that I went to the Ocean Residents Community Association meeting because I saw on their agenda that REAP was on there, and I wanted to see what their take was.
Wow.
And apparently the Downtown Residents Council has had a representative from Jorge's organization come and speak to them.
Wow.
And the neighborhood groups, organizations that are usually, only concerned with keeping the property values up, are supporting this measure. Okay, they are supporting REAP, and so I was pleasantly surprised that the neighborhood associations will be supporting this and letting the city council know.
I would think it would keep the property values up if they maintain their properties.
Yeah.
They're not full of rats and cockroaches. Perhaps that helps the property value. I don't know. Just a guess. Okay.
Lynn, if I could just say, I heard though, that was Carrie Gallagher, the executive director from Housing Long Beach.
Yes.
And supposedly they just ripped her to shreds
Really?
in the process. That's what I heard.
They did mention that one person in particular, they don't want to hear the sob stories.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They wanted to, apparently the first part of her presentation was just stories about renters and slumlords, and they were not interested in that. And that's what they said. They wanted to hear just the basic facts. So yeah.
Well, it's all about, like their properties and, the what do you call it? the amount of, the properties and the value, in other words, and so we don't want any,
Yeah,
any.
they are
slumlords
very
here.
concerned about, keeping property values up.
Yeah.
But they see that they have something in common, okay? They don't want slumlord conditions in the properties that are adjacent to them. So, yes, that did come up.
Good.
Yes.
I wanted to comment that I went to the workshop, and one of the things I mentioned at the workshop is that it might be a really good idea to have people that own apartment buildings or homes to come and say, yeah, I keep up my place and my tenants are happy. They pay their rent on time. My property value is up because people have a healthy place to live. The city council, I think, should hear from these guys. I understand what these guys were thinking. I don't want to hear the sob stories.
Right.
But how about if we hear some good stories from people that are
That are
owners?
doing the right
Yeah,
thing, that are
exactly.
already doing the right thing.
Hi, Dagmar. I think it's important to keep addressing this issue, especially in Long Beach that doesn't have a program like REAP in place. Like Los Angeles has a program like this. So I personally think that this is something to pursue and keep advocating.
Okay, so the third event, still this month, January 21st, was a Moby event in LA. And we were really lucky because Cindy managed to get us a bus so we could ride up there in style. And not only a bus, but a bus with banners on both sides that said corporations are not people and money is not speech.
Where's our picture?
It's in there somewhere. It's okay, just keep going.
So anyway, I was hoping that maybe Rondi and Phil, since you were both there and rode the bus. There's the bus. So we were like a billboard driving down the freeway, advertising, and people were honking their horns and approval, and it was quite good. Rondi, how about can you say a few words about the event?
I
Laurel.
thought getting to the bus was a great idea. Everybody doesn't have to worry about where they're gonna park, where they're gonna go. I mean, that would keep a lot of people from not going. I mean, if I had to drive and find my way there, I'd never been there in my life. So all going together, and plus it just got everybody more in the spirit of feeling like participants. So thank you, that was
We're gonna do more of
awesome.
it.
We actually marched a long way. I think it was more than a mile.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
and then Phil had to carry a coffin.
Yeah.
I was wearing a veil. I mean, so we were stumbling around.
We were going
Because-
along with it.
Because it was, I don't know if you noticed
And
the
singing, right?
It was
the rest,
awesome.
the rest in peace at the beginning. The idea was it's the death of democracy because the Citizens United. So Kathy Fung from Common Cause did this whole oration as you would at a funeral, saying the late great democracy that has gone on.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was very well done. And then there's Phil. And this is before they handed out the veils. So Rondi, some of us had veils and we were sobbing and sobbing and, hamming it up. And then we.
There's the veils.
Yeah.
But Phil, let's hear from you.
Well, no, I just thought it was very well organized and it was pleasant to be in a bus and we talked all the way up. And people did pay attention. I don't know if we got much ink on it.
Yes, you did. Not in the big papers, but in the papers that count.
Right. And it, it seemed to go really well.
And that bus, hundreds of people saw that bus rolling down the
Yeah.
405 freeway. I mean, if we do that more often,
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
all about
what's
and they were
visibility.
honking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't, and that's a positive thing, exactly.
So they weren't honking because you were in the way. Yes, Lynn.
Well,
I just want to add that the arrangements were really great because the traffic control and the police supported us all along our march. They stopped the traffic for us, and
Yay.
when we got to the overpass, the group threw down the banner on the overpass, and people were honking their horns and saying that.
Unfurled, they didn't throw it down.
Yeah.
They
That's
held it
what I
on the side.
visualized. There was some.
They hung it on the
on
side.
the-
So that was really good. I wanted to thank Cindy because Cindy arranged for the bus and paid for it out of her own pocket.
Wow.
However,
Did you get some money
the
back?
e-board, at our last meeting, the e-board voted to reimburse them, you know. The expense was $785.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
Okay.
That's not gonna happen.
The e-board, yes, please. The e-board, voted to send me $200. We gathered almost 200 from the people that rode on the bus. And the good thing is that Common Cause and the Courage campaign, our Kathy De Silva arranged with them to pay the balance.
You know what, we gotta raise funds so we can have buses like that all the time.
Right,
And it's a
right.
$400
It
bus.
was wonderful.
It's
Sandra
not
Flood.
expensive, we can do it, we can raise money, we can do that. And we don't even have to go that far, we can even just get a bus to go 10 miles down the street, doesn't matter, you know, it could be, it doesn't have to be LA, it could be a Long Beach bus traveling around Long Beach.
Just circle the block, get a bus.
Ernie and- They wouldn't
Laurel,
be-
do you have anything to add? Laurel is one of our bus monitors.
It's in my genes, we do. Actually, it was everything that people said, but I do think that one of my favorite pieces as we finished was that, it's for the video.
Okay. One of my, hello. One of my favorite parts was the coalition building. And I had a chance on the bus to sit right opposite on the way back, Kathy De Silva. And she's great. And you know, she's just such a diehard and dedicated activist. And so the fact that we were all in coalition was really great. Now, the one funny thing I have to say is that it just so happened that that week my brother and sister-in-law were visiting me from Michigan, and they were going to go to San Diego, but we were all having so much fun they decided to stay on. And especially when I told them I said, now tomorrow you're on your own. You'll have to like do your thing because I'm going on a march. And they go, we want to go. Except my brother, who is a doctor in Michigan, and you know he's like old school a bit. He goes, you know, I will go, but I just want to know, are handcuffs involved? And there weren't. So anyway,
One really cool thing about the march is that they had a brass band playing like New Orleans.
Where did they get that? That was great.
They're called the Brass Patriots or Patriotic Brass. I got their card actually.
oh,
Can we turn it up to hear the band?
Look at, there's the,
Tax lady.
well, I thought it was the Statue of Liberty. Right.
How come it stopped? Okay.
Do you want me to stop again?
Is it buffering? No, keep
The green- the
going.
one in
Keep
green,
running
there
it.
is.
I was wondering if you turn it up.
I don't have.
Oh, okay. Oh. There's Bill.
The whole way I was born. Sheena, you raised me on the. Yeah.
I think even more, when you look at this,
I'm not five. So maybe 400.
You know what, in the Daily News, I don't know if anybody reads the Daily News, or Sharon and Dick's Progressive. Yeah, there was a report of 500 people. Now, I'm a pretty good judge of how many people, and I gotta say it's between 400 and 500 people.
because look at its lorry. It's so big.
There's
and-
Kathy Fang from
Yeah.
Common Cause, and from the Green Lady.
The tax company.
She was very energetic, I must say.
Yeah, she's good.
People are honking.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, so we can do these things. This is activism.
And we did these things.
And we did. Yes, we did.
Why do you think Los Angeles is another?
Because, first of all, the media does not want to report on this, because if we were to get money out of politics, where does that money go when you say they spent $3 billion for for a presidential campaign or $4 billion. Where does that money go to? It goes to the
Ding,
advertising.
ding, ding.
It goes to the media people. They get the money. They don't want less money spent on elections. They want more money spent on elections. And the last thing they want to cover is this movement. They don't want anyone to know about this. That's the last thing they want.
That's why
to talk
Prop
about.
49 was scrapped off the ballot, you guys. Big money does not want us to have this
Very popular.
conversation.
Yay.
I think that the reason I put the slideshow together was not just because I want to have pictures of people in our club doing this stuff, but to let people know that activism is not a scary, awful thing. Okay? Yeah. No Molotov cocktails, no getting slammed up against a squad car. I mean, if you look at who came to this, there's young people, there's older people, there's, everybody's in this thing. There's children. It's and I think that we need to recognize that sometimes we hear about, those demonstrators, those militants. It's like, you know what? They're talking about people like us. Okay? So that was the purpose of putting together a slideshow, to kind of make the message that this is a thing that we can all do, we can all participate in.
That was the danger. That was the most dangerous
That
part.
was kind of scary.
That went on forever.
Yeah, on the way to the freeway off ramp.
But it's
Then we
an
had to cut
experience.
across the,
All the
Up ramp.
traffic,
Yeah.
yeah.
Look at the cars. So where do we get all these pictures though?
Barry Levine took a lot
He's
of
our official
photographs.
photographer for Moby.
But
And
I
they put it on
also
Flickr.
I also took a fair amount and took some video.
Yeah, the
It's on-
video's
it's on my
Carol's.
That's what this
phone.
coalition is all about.
Yeah,
All
really.
these people, we downloaded all into the same little Flickr account.
Does Larry get? What's his name?
Barry
Levine.
Yeah.
He's actually a professional photographer who happens to be one of our Moby members.
The other thing about this is you can do activism on any level that you want to do it in. Like, we had a sign making party. If you think, okay, I'm not going to downtown and marching, but I'll make some signs, or I'll phone bank on this event, or I'll design a flyer, or I'll organize, that's all doable stuff. We can do this to whatever level. The reason that you guys come to these meetings is because you're activists. You guys are involved. To whatever level you can do, that's what you're
Waiting for it.
Yeah, that is a beautiful bus.
Yeah, we didn't have
Yeah.
to walk back to
We
see
didn't
it.
have to
That was
walk
the best part.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
The
It's
bus
just,
was right there across the street.
it's like a traveling billboard
Yeah.
too. I mean, I do think the banner is a big part of it.
And the guy was really nice.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
You guys all got back here safely.
Yeah. There was a happy group on the bus.
Brother and your sister.
There were some Orange County people.
Next time we can get that bus filled, 55 people, no problem. We can do it.
Yeah.
It just, we need to experience it once, and now we know what to do. We're gonna do it, and let's do more of it.
Sadly, we can't
Yeah.
keep the banner. And people have asked about that. Why don't we have the banner? It's a one-time only thing. They peel it off and it's destroyed. Okay, Carol, you can talk about the last one.
Okay, actually there are two more events.
Okay.
That's only three. January's not over. On January 29th, well, are you going backwards?
No.
Oh, I thought you were up to the next one. There are no pictures for the next event anyway, so just stop it right there because that's for event number 5. Event number 4. Okay, Janine Pierce's group, the Coalition for Good Jobs and a Healthy Community, has an emphasis on living wage, and they were the ones that got Measure N passed to get a living wage for hotel workers. And so it's kind of a follow-up to that, because what happened is 3 of the hotels ended up unionizing, and so those workers are pretty happy. They have a contract, they have better working conditions. Some of the other hotels, instead of, improving things or offering to have union membership, they instead laid people off and they increased the workload of the workers. And it's particularly the women that clean the rooms, who typically had to clean 12 or 13 rooms in an 8-hour day, and now they have to clean 16. And so it means getting there and working off the clock before their shift even starts, because they have to set up their carts, which weigh like 250 pounds. So they end up with, shoulder injuries and stuff because they're pushing these things around. They sometimes have to supply their own cleaning products and gloves. They give them gloves that just kind of fall apart after the first room, and they have 15 more to go. Some of them bring their own bleach because they don't supply it, or other cleaning products.
They don't
And
supply
it's-
the bleach?
No.
Quite good stuff.
And so they also bring tape so they can pick up the hair on the floor. It's, anyway. Yeah, Gwen Lisa, maybe you could, talk about this, because they had some hotel workers there that told their stories.
The name of the hotels was the Renaissance and the Hyatt was the two that gave us.
No, the Hyatt is.
The Hyatt is one of the ones
It's
that
just the
unionized.
Well, you got, it's the Renaissance then, it was the name. But I thought Hyatt.
And maybe the Radisson, I don't know. What's the other, I don't even know what the hotels are.
Yeah, yeah. But. they
But,
were-
yeah, we're coming up to the action here. But anyway, so maybe you could talk a little bit about, what it was like to hear the stories of these hotel workers.
It was really sad because it looked like the hotels did exactly what they said they were gonna do when we came up to the living wage. They said when we, when that was, put into effect and it was passed, that they were gonna lay off people and they were going to, that was the only alternative because they couldn't afford to pay it.
And actually, their profits are up.
Yeah, 3%.
So-
She said 3 to 5% that the profits were,
Yeah.
or something like that. But anyway, they're just taking advantage of these people. They really, really are, and it's like being in bondage almost because
Yeah.
they're afraid of. If they say something, they're going to lose their job. It's really something really needs to be done because it's really
This has a
pitiful.
long history of bad labor practices, so it's.
It's more of the same. Shayna was also there. Maybe you could talk a little bit about.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
Well, it was just amazing because we got Proposition N passed, and we thought we were doing good for people. And actually, these people are really suffering, not only, just physically, but also what was I going to say? Hold on a minute, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, they had the stress. Thank you. They're going to have heart attacks. One guy even said that he couldn't go to the bathroom and he wet in his pants. It was unbelievable. And I mean, so here they got more money, but their other physical stress, and what they do is they just murder them physically. Then they're out, no disability or anything like that, and they just bring in more people. So it's almost like they're cattle. They're not even human beings. And it's just a lack of respect, like they're slaves or something. They're subhuman. That's why I felt. And it was so discouraging to think that people who already make a lot of money, who already have, plenty, can't share a little bit. They still would have a good life. It's just really perplexing to me.
Lest you lose hope, help is on the way. Okay, so the point of the meeting was to announce that they are going to do an action, though it's kind of hush-hush. They don't want it on the social media or don't email anyone about this because they want to surprise the management.
Do you want to pause the video?
Oh, he did. It is
No,
paused.
no.
No, I mean the live video. Sorry, Mom, you can't listen to this right now.
There'll be further actions after that too. So stay tuned. The last event was Covered California, and there were actually 8 Yes We Can members. I noticed the OFA person Greg gave us gave us credit for it. Said they partnered with Yes We Can because there were 8 of us there. There's Lynn. Lynn, Gwen, Lisa, Shayna was there, Eileen was there, Susan, Laurel, Al. Al was working in the parking lot, telling people where to go.
Who's taking the video?
Me.
Okay.
On the spot recorder.
She's
getting good at
That's another beautiful thing about having the cell phone and the video.
Yeah, it's just myself.
You can go ahead and be your activist self and document the whole thing and send it on out to the Facebook. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
And I'll post this video on our Taking Action page.
Okay, great.
Wonderful.
So, let's see, Eileen, maybe you could say a couple words about that particular event, the Covered California
Yeah, it
event.
was very nice. We were there from 12 to about 2:30 or 3. The event signed up 75 people, and they were very, very pleased with that. I thought the number was rather small, but they were very thrilled that they got the 75. Unfortunately, according to the paper, 60% of persons in California who qualify for this program have not registered. 60%. So there's still, I don't know, the February 15th is coming up very close.
Still have time.
Anyway, it was really very, very nice. Very, very helpful.
Yeah, people were thanking us as they left, and so it was very gratifying. So now that you've seen your fellow members or yourselves being active for the month of January, I'm going to ask Cindy, because as Maria indicated at the beginning, the idea is to keep moving and keep being active. So we have some more opportunities for you. Cindy?
Well, you guys are going to make your own opportunity because you all are going to get active and collaborate and work with your fellow club members to come up with an event. For example, here's an idea. We have the rights to the movie Pay to Play. You could do small screenings at people's homes with like 15 or 20 people, or you could go to the art theater and get a little bigger showing with 300 people. We could get a bus and bus people into the event. And I mean, there's so many things you could do, but this is all up to you to get together with each other and think about what is it we want to do. We could do it on a small scale, we could do it on a big scale. So we're going to be passing around a sign-up sheet to see who would like to help, who would like to put something together and make something happen. And I think it's, if it means gathering with other groups that you think might want to work with us on this, that's great. I know Equity is going to be doing some things, and it could be the other way around where we work with them. So.
Yeah, and, this can be anyone who's interested, or you can sign up for both. So if you're interested in helping organize a pay-to-play event, you can sign up here, or if you might want to host one, you can check that box as well. For Equity, because there's so many groups already organizing events, we don't really need to organize any events right now. We just need to show up. But the one thing I was thinking, one of our goals in the Equity team was to not only educate ourselves, but to prepare some kind of handouts, because we often do tabling as a club, and it would be good to have some handouts that have graphics and text that talk about inequality issues, because there's more than one inequality issue, as you know. So I was thinking if we could get a group of people, we have to talk about the links. I can send you the links that Cindy came up with for the informational part of it, so you can first get informed and then maybe get together as a group and generate some handouts.
It'd be like a little study
pass this
group where you
around.
can get together and kick around the different ideas and see how you can come to what it is you want to do.
Phil.
Well, I just want to back up just a little bit. There are a lot of other things going on too. In that period,
it's true.
The Occupy or Peace Coalition, and there are a lot of Yes We Can people there, and there were two organized hands up issue. We deserve to be protected also. So we're covering an awful lot of things, and we should even figure out a way to get the publicity out even more. Trafficking on Saturday, they had a big get together about the trafficking of people, human trafficking.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't just
So
girls, but that
are
was
you
our
on all
record.
these mailing lists? Maybe you could get the information to someone on the board who could then disseminate it. Because I don't get the information for all of these things, so I don't always know what's going on.
Stella has a question.
Oh, Stella.
So I'm not sure I heard correctly. So Cindy was saying that you wanted to do, like more of the pay-to-play previews.
We could do a screening event. if
Yeah,
you
because
guys wanted
we
to.
have a copy of the film, so we could do a showing of the film.
Okay.
Like at the Madhouse or something,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And the other
Or you
thing
could
is-
have a house party, or you could invite your PTA group, it could be small scale, big scale.
In Spanish?
Oh.
That's an excellent question.
I'll find out, but we also have access to, have access to the producer of the movie, and also like Michelle Sutter, who has been involved with the legislation of Prop 49. She could come and speak. So, we have access to those people. So all you have to do is say, Cindy, get Michelle there. We want her here. Here's the date we want her. you know, whatever.
There's a lot of organizing over in Central Long Beach, West Long Beach, of the Latino community. So there's Latinos in Action. There's the Long Beach Alliance for Children with Asthma. A lot of Latinos in that group. And
There was a group that covered California. It was like IR, there were 4 letters, immigration rights. Something.
I'm not sure the movie is in Spanish, but I'll find out.
Okay.
I have access to the people.
Yeah.
But we do have the film in English. For sure we have that.
And then get Housing Long Beach in there as well. Some of the groups that are out there organizing around similar issues.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it just takes
Housing Long Beach has their big fundraising dinner next week, and you know, at some point, all of you maybe need to get on all the mailing lists. I don't know if all of you are on the mailing list for Housing Long Beach or for the coalition.
I have something that came up when we were doing the sign up for the health care. I found out one lady that came in, her husband had beat her up, and she couldn't find a place, to go. And I found out that we don't have any facilities open on the weekend for battered women unless they go through the police department.
Well, you have to do that during the week, sweetie, if you're gonna get that.
It's a weekly, it's not
She goes through the police department.
That's
because
incredible.
My daughter was with the police, so I called her. But this lady was afraid to turn her husband in because he's undocumented. So a lady there wound up taking her to her house till Monday, but she still is going to have to go.
They found a place for Los Angeles.
But it was like,
But there should be a place in
there
Long
should be
Beach.
a place that you could, not even a rescue mission, you could go over there.
There is the Battered Women's Center of Long Beach on Pacific. And I know because I donated a lot of stuff to them, but I don't know.
That's through the police
They called
department.
everybody, they called all of them.
Yeah.
This is
Should I turn it over to you?
If she would have went down and pressed charges to get there, they would have sent her over. But, it's not.
Afraid to do that.
So, I have a suggestion then.
Yes.
Maybe on our website, we need to have some resources.
Yeah.
Okay, some resources. Yes.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
And we can do this. Okay. So I guess the point is, yes, Shana.
I'd be glad to get my email, even if people want to email me the names of all the different organizations that they're a member of, then we have it in one.
You would like to be the resource lady?
Yes,
we love okay then. Fantastic. So on the sign up sheet, put your name down and then you can write in there, I will be the resource lady. Okay? All right. So thank you for that. And I guess the message is loud and clear. We need people to be active and organize and collaborate with each other about these issues. And don't be shy about it. If you think your idea is like some harebrained crazy thing, you know what? Throw it out there because
it may spark another idea from somebody else that's just as crazy.
That's right.
And then we'll just be a crazy club.
Okay, right now I would like to introduce Stella Ursua.
Yay, Stella.
Stella.
Stella. Speaking of crazy.
It was harebrained ideas, right? No, I think this is a really interesting initiative that you're going to hear about. I met my friend and colleague Stas Margaronis about almost 6 years ago. He heard that we had a group called Green Long Beach way back when, and he said, hey, I really want to tell you about this idea around short sea shipping and having wind turbines out at the port and, creating our own energy, and all of this stuff was right up my alley, right? So it's like, okay, I want to learn more. And so over the course of the past few years, I've been learning a lot more about short sea shipping. And in fact, we came back from Rotterdam in middle of December, I think it was. We spent 5-6 days there. Amazing. It was just absolutely amazing where we saw at the port of Rotterdam, they had a specific area where there were short sea ships that the big ships would come in, they were unloaded very quickly onto the smaller ships, and they send these ships up along the coast and into the rivers towards different parts of Europe, and they deliver the cargo this way, and it's really neat because it reduces congestion, reduces pollution, greenhouse gas emissions. It created some jobs that weren't there before. And so I'm really excited about this. We've been talking to a lot of folks here in Long Beach. In fact, Carol and Maria saw this presentation at the house once before, but we've gone to Vice Mayor Lowenthal's office, to Mayor Garcia's office, to Council Member Yaranga, Gonzalez, I can't remember who else. Oh, and Vice Mayor Lowenthal wants us to come to the Harbor Tidelands Commission. As we came back and we had this whole study trip completed, she wants to see what we came up with. And so we have folks at the port that are really interested in learning more about this. And so I asked Maria and Carol if we can come and do a quick presentation. And so with that, I'm going to have Stas come up here. And if we can start with the video first, Stuart, this will give you 2 minutes, a real quick snapshot.
This was Maria's idea.
Yes.
Maria suggested we do this.
The video?
Yes. Trucking congestion, environmental pollution, and avoid the 710 freeway widening. Thousands of tractor trailers travel the 710 freeway, causing congestion, massive delays, along with health and respiratory problems for local residents. The proposal to widen the 710 will cost an estimated $6 billion and take over 10 years to complete its construction. Along with the demands of the 710 widening, the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles, beginning in 2015, will be creating additional truck traffic with their new mega shipping terminals and container ships. We can avoid the 710 widening, reducing truck congestion and pollution by transferring some containerized truckloads off large ships and onto smaller marine highway vessels. Other ports already transfer containerized truckloads from large ships to smaller ones, such as the Port of Rotterdam. New U.S.-built marine highway ships are powered by natural gas or a cleaner diesel fuel. When employed, they can eliminate 80% of truck emissions and fuel consumption. Two ships using the Marine 5 highway can help reduce 1,000 truckloads per day going to San Diego. 16 Marine 5 highway ships can help reduce 2,000 truckloads per day on the 710 and I-5 between Long Beach, Los Angeles to Oakland, California. A new Long Beach shipyard can build clean marine highway ships and create 900 jobs. The shipyard would employ welders, fitters, painters, crane operators, skilled labor, local jobs, with incomes ranging between $65,000 to $100,000. Developing the Marine 5 highway helps to improve local jobs and our environment. Let's return shipbuilding to Long Beach.
Wow. Those are real numbers, and I think you could probably relate to that. That's great. That's awesome. Yay! Yes, Dee Dee.
Aren't most of those jobs longshoreman jobs that you have to be in the union?
No.
Good.
Although it's not that they won't make an issue out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And the truckers.
so we did this presentation a couple of months ago, and Maria said, it doesn't, people, you can't explain this. You've got to do a video. So we decided to take you up on it. And so we had our video guy put this together, and it obviously looks a little simpler when you see it. And we hadn't done it when you were there either. Were you were there at the same time Maria was there? You guys were there at the same time, or was it a different?
No, the first time.
Right. Okay. So
You keep talking, you're gonna make this into a movie of easier.
Okay. So my name is Stas Margaronis, and I published something called Rebuild the United States, and our website has actually got the video on it, and it's rbtus.com. I've been working for a long time on trying to get ports to divert some of their truckloads off the highways and on the coast, because there's increasingly a sizable amount of traffic that is going up and down the I-5. And that's basically in California, the north-south. There's a lot of stuff that is happening, but we've been moving all of this stuff by truck and not by ship. And so this has been a real issue that up until recently ports haven't wanted to deal with. Well, 2014 was kind of a watershed year, because you might have heard that there's been a work slowdown. If you go over the bridge, the Desmond Bridge, you can see lots and lots of containers sitting around there doing nothing. And what has happened is that bigger ships are coming to Long Beach and Los Angeles. As those bigger ships come in, the terminals do not have the capacity to handle them. So the ports have decided to go and build mega terminals, and you see the Middle Harbor one in Long Beach, and then there's a TrayPac one at Los Angeles. Those will begin to help the bigger ships unload. The problem is, where are these truckloads going when they get off the bigger ships? And the problem is the 710. So Stella and I went to a meeting on July 31st, which was the project committee of the 710 advisory group that was hosted by Caltrans. There were 250 community representatives there from Long Beach to Los Angeles. And they had one very clear message. They want the trucks off the road. People from West Long Beach came in and talked about the emissions, the pollution, the asthma, and people all up and down that corridor said the same thing. And the message was so strong that this advisory committee that included many elected representatives, and from Long Beach, Councilman Uranga was represented, and Doug Drummond, the president of the Harbor Commission. At the end of the meeting, there's a high school group, and there were about 10 kids, and they recited a poem about how the pollution had adversely affected their neighborhoods, and it hurt the health, and how it was ruining their lifestyle and their communities. And each kid had about a stanza, and they went up and down. It was really, really neat. I don't know whether anybody videoed it, but it was kind of rap, but it was kind of poetry.
Was this the kids from Cabrillo High School?
Yes, thank you.
Cabrillo High School is the big high school on the west side.
They did it, so anyhow, really good job. The vote comes, and there was a unanimous vote to reject Caltrans' 710 widening proposal. So that project is now in limbo. So Stella and I subsequently met with Doug Drummond, and we had a conversation about what went on there and why he voted with Councilman Uranga against the 710 widening. And he said, my hope was that we could do this, but I decided that I am not going to contradict and conflict with the city. That if the initiative is coming from the city that we should not do this, then I believe that I need to support what was going on. And he used a very interesting analogy. He said that earlier on, many years ago, the city wanted to keep the Long Beach shipyard, and the port wanted to get rid of it. And he said that the port contradicted the city and acted in what he felt was against the city's interest. And it turns out Mr. Drummond's father was a shipbuilder during World War II. And he recalled, and of course now we have to go back to Long Beach history here because not everybody remembers this, there was 50,000 people working in San Pedro Bay in Long Beach and San Pedro in the shipyards. There's 50,000 workers. I mean, you think, what?
Yeah.
So
Was Todd Shipyard? Was that the name?
Todd was one of them. Yeah. Was in the San Pedro side. And then there was a Long Beach shipyard, and you all remember what happened with that. It's now China Ocean Shipping. So Mr. Drummond has a strong feeling for wanting to see whether there was a way to bring shipbuilding back to Long Beach. And so we said, well, we have an idea for you. We would like to try and see whether we could reestablish a shipyard at the Port of Long Beach that could build these greener container ships. And so he arranged for us to meet with John Sanglerup, the new port director, and we had a really positive meeting, and they sent us a letter to support our trip to Holland, where Stella was one of the participants, and we went and saw in the Port of Rotterdam how they move a lot of stuff by water instead of by road. Now, I have to say that Stella made a very, very good impression on people and gave a really good image of the city of Long Beach when she went up to the bar in Groningen, Holland, and drank the strongest beer that they have in Holland, which impressed all the Dutch guys a lot, you know. But what was really, really interesting about what Stella did next was that she joined a bunch of these guys in downing a ouzo chaser to the beer. So, you know.
Share these stories.
So what happened was that we had Stella along, and we had a video guy, and at the end of the whole trip, we were at the airport, and we were on our way home, and we had Stella on for a few minutes, and Stella gave this really good summary. We went to a shipyard after we went to container terminals, and Stella basically said, this is what we need for Long Beach. We need to start finding decent paying manufacturing and production jobs. You guys have been talking about these really difficult jobs that maids and house cleaners have in hotels. And one of the reasons that we're struggling here is because we don't have the production jobs that we used to have 50, 60 years ago. And the fact of the matter is, it does feel like we're going backwards instead of going forwards, and that we're not remembering what we used to do. So we had so Stella did a really good job. Now, what has happened is that we have begun to have a dialogue with the port about this idea. And it's taken some time. We met with Suja Lowenthal before we left, and she said that she would be really glad to hold hearings. Now, the fact that we met with Lowenthal was something that we mentioned to the port people that she would like to hold hearings. Well, they thought maybe we ought to try and work something out before Suja held the hearings. So we're having some dialogue here. Let me just say very simply what the idea is. There are several thousand truckloads that leave Long Beach and go up to Northern California on a daily basis. And the reason for this is that as we're attracting bigger ships and bigger terminals, the ships are taking market share from Oakland, Portland, and even Seattle. And so the stuff is getting unloaded here, and it's going back up the 5. So we can't take all of the truckloads off, but if we could take 1,000 truckloads off, we would eliminate the rationale for widening the 710. We could create some jobs building the ships, and we could really begin to start a modal shift. Everywhere else in the world that has ports like ours, they use this system. And Stella and I went to a very new terminal where, in fact, they unload the ships onto like drones. They're actually automated. They don't have a driver on them. And it's the weirdest thing. You're at a container terminal and the containers are all on these automated guided vehicles, and they're run electrically. They have a battery pack, and the container terminal is totally electrical. There isn't a single diesel motor anywhere. So one of the things that we tried to do was to get the port to send somebody on this trip so that they could see it too. Well, at least Stella saw it, so she can say I wasn't lying. So the port is kind of seeing that they need to do something. A big jump for everybody is thinking about building a shipyard. They can sort of see the idea of maybe using a barge. They can sort of see the idea that maybe we could start moving some stuff by water. But I've argued that we need to go to a shipyard. The shipyard is a way that we can create jobs locally, that we can start building the kinds of designs that will be clean, that won't have emissions, that will meet the needs of this idea, this short sea marine highway idea, and get us across the street. Another reason is I believe that we can actually build the ships cheaper than at a lot of other yards. And one of the reasons for this is that a lot of the shipyards in the United States do a lot of taxpayer-related work, and some of that's government work, and some of it's Navy work, and then they do repair work. And this needs to be dedicated to building ships again. And I know that this is a big stretch, and we're talking about a heavy-duty deal, and the permitting could take 20 years, but I don't think we've got that long anyway. But just to summarize, the kind of jobs that we are creating here are jobs that we could use from a Long Beach Community College. We could train welders through there. We could go to Harbor Community College and maybe team up together to do that. There's a lot of synergies that we could create. And one of the things that this does is it helps create a proactive response that I think we need. Because what I hear from all of you here today is you're fighting fires. Fighting fires against Citizens United, fighting fires against the Renaissance Hotel, fighting fires against officials that don't care about slumlords. And my feeling is we need to take the offensive. We need to start getting the ports, both ports, to start thinking about something that can create jobs, can take trucks off the roads, can reduce emissions, and each ship, the ships that we're talking about, reduce the emissions on every containerized truckload by 80 to 90%. So you don't need to have a hydrogen truck, which will cost $1 million to build, and it'll take 20 years to get enough of them to do the job. You don't need to widen the 710 and do whatever you want. We could do this simply. Everybody else does it. So that is basically the pitch. Now, the ask here is we would like to ask your help in including this idea as one of your community outreach projects. We would like to reach out to each of the councilmanic districts and have somebody maybe coordinate a response where we do neighborhood meetings inside that councilmanic district. We want to create a grassroots support system for marine highway shipping so that the port and the city start to hear that out in the communities, people are not all that dumb. They actually do have some idea what's going on there and about why we need to have a different response to how we're handling transportation. Without this, we are going to start seeing the 710 jam. The new ships that are coming out here soon carry the equivalent of 9,000 40-foot containers. And that is twice to 3 times the size of the ships that were here 4 or 5 years ago. So if you think things were jammed before, wait until you see what's happening.
Now,
Yes.
is this available in Spanish? Because I'm going to tell you, the kids at the Cabrillo High that did the poetry thing, that neighborhood has got to speak out about this, okay? If that video were in Spanish,
A lot
That's a
of people
very
that
good,
they're thinking,
that's a
you know,
very
my
good,
dad could work there, and you know, lifting up
My
the
asthma could get better.
my
I think we need to, if you can, if we would, I will talk to Sam. If we need to get somebody who to do the audio, we can do a script with them and then maybe have somebody just do the same thing in Spanish.
Spanish, Catherine can help you with the Spanish.
So you had
Okay.
a question, you had their hand up, go ahead.
Last night, several of us went to the talk at the Sierra Club talk about the climate change. And really his big message was about emissions. The whole Sierra Club is like ready to, so that would be a coalition that could really help you. And this physicist that did that, you have his name on the,
Jim
you
Stewart.
sent it, you could connect them to him. He said he would come anywhere, if he put his stuff there, and he's got graphs of how much emission is, all this stuff, and I think that would be another whole group of people that would give.
That would be great.
You gotta take the show on the road.
I agree. Well, that's why we came here, is we wanted to get some ideas.
There's a
Yes.
big event in Oakland on Saturday. I believe we were talking about fracking, but just to mention that. But my main point was I wanted to know who are the decision makers. If you were going to make this happen like a week from Monday, okay, who would be the key decision makers, and where's the money going to come from?
Okay, okay. The Port of Long Beach commissioners need to be the decision maker. The money is actually, the ships can be chartered by the ocean carriers. The ships actually save money as opposed to trucking, so they can pay for themselves. There probably needs to be, we're talking about a shipyard, so a shipyard is going to cost money, but once the ships are built, they can be paid for by contracts, leasing contracts. We call them chartering and shipping with the carriers. So XYZ carrier could lease this ship for 7 years to take trucks between here and Oakland. So that is a bankable contract. So the paying for the actual ship could be done by the companies. The shipyard needs the port to get involved, but if the ships are making money being built, they probably could pay for themselves, and there is a ship finance program that's done through the U.S. Department of Transportation that will cover 80% of the guarantees.
Phil, you had a question.
Well, I'll go back to Ronnie on that. The whole speech was just devastating. I mean, you look at
You're talking about the Sierra Club.
the Sierra Club
speaker. Okay.
situation that you know, for the last 1,000 years we've had ideal environment, and then they start talking about the CO2 and the you know, lack of the fossil fuels that you know keep getting produced no matter what we do, and they're just depleting them. And my point is, I don't know how much we're going to go into that, but you have to sell that we really are in trouble with this, and then come up with some solutions. And yours, it sounds wonderful. He had a bunch of options too, and it had to do with, you know, when you get the decomposition of the fuels, you know, you put more carbon dioxide into the air, so you get the greenhouse effect.
Sure.
So he was coming up with seaweed, which would fit in with this, and he was talking to Joe about you know, using buses and trains and things around here. So I mean, it really, if you look at, because some people just aren't believers that, you know, I mean, and I like what you're presenting and who you would sell it to, but I think the whole thing's got to go together because it's a bigger picture than just the ships.
I think Catherine has a question.
Catherine.
In addition to the communities that are living near the affected by those emissions, for people who commute, I commute to go use the road. I can tell you that there's so many trucks now on the 405 in
Yes.
San Diego, that direction. And it really, I breathe those fumes every day for 2 hours, you know, and so you can easily convince people who are commuters in any neighborhood in Long Beach, people who have to use the highway to get to work, because there's a lot of people commuting.
Yeah. You don't even need to be a scientist to know that
So-
you can't read.
So that's another constituency that could really mobilize that, I think, because if we knew that the traffic would get better, sometimes we're moving at 1 mile an hour.
Yes.
You know, I mean, because, it's great, it's already getting to the point where it's changed since last year.
Yeah.
Laurel, you had a question?
I have a question and a comment. Actually, I have two questions. Number one, question is, without getting into the weeds about this, as we talk a lot about all these rich corporations who don't really give a rip about stuff, they just want money. So, is there some kind of have you guys done any kind of a spreadsheet speculation about how it might make it financially appealing to
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the big companies?
Yeah, we know exactly.
Well, just like
Let
an
me,
example.
yes, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, give me an
The answer,
example.
okay. So we looked at taking trucks to and from the Central Valley.
Okay.
And it turns out that a lot of truckers in the Central Valley don't want to come down here. What they'd like to do is to go to the port of Stockton, which is 3 hours from just about everybody. Even in Bakersfield, it's about a 3.5 hour drive. And the reason they'd like to go to Stockton is they can get in and out of Stockton really quickly. In fact, the port there, they have a new off-ramp that goes straight into a terminal, and they had a barge with crane system. So there is a big, big constituency in the San Joaquin Valley. It turns out that California exports 17 million metric tons of agricultural goods every year. Some of it gets trucked to Canada, some of it gets trucked to Mexico, but most of it goes through the ports of Oakland, LA, and Long Beach. All of that stuff could go to Stockton and then come down by ship, come here, and that would avoid trucks coming from Bakersfield, trucks coming from Fresno, trucks going from Fresno to Oakland, and all of that stuff. So when we did comparisons on that, the ship is comparable, or it's cheaper in many cases, but it's comparable in more cases. Because one of the things that happened in the last 3 months is that the truckers have finally gotten so sick and tired of the congestion and the delays, plus they're now getting organized by the Teamsters, that they have announced that they are doubling in some cases, or at least increasing the trucking costs by 50%. So we are comparable in it with that. Some of the companies that are in the San Joaquin Valley include Walmart, IKEA, Target, and many other companies, but we also have outbound cargoes from the agricultural people. So we have a big, big constituency there, and the ship is ideal because it can go up the coast, and it creates a whole new synergy for us. The San Diego one would be the second one, and we made mention of that one. San Diego has a port, and one of the things that's happening in San Diego, it's a little tricky, is we have a lot of trucks from Mexico that come across the border. We could, actually, this is a good, let me just hold this one for a second. This gives you, this is a Caltrans map, and this gives you all of those red lines are the choke points, and what happens is, as you're coming into Los Angeles from the valley, and as you're going into Oakland from the valley, there's a lot of stuff that's really intense. Down here is where San Diego is. We have this possibility there, and we did that in the video, and the other one coming up here. So we are beginning to identify who's in here and who's down there. And the thing that you should remember about a ship is a ship that carries 2,000 20-foot unit containers has a horsepower engine of 21,000. If you were to carry the same number of truckloads, which is 700 40-foot containers, times 375 horsepower for each of the container loads, you get 260,000 horsepower. So it's 260,000 horsepower versus 21,000 horsepower on the ship. So you can see that if you only need a tenth of the horsepower, you only have a tenth of the emissions. You simplify the process. People are always asking me, well, what's the data? Does the ship really save? Well, of course it does, because if you have one platform and you have 700 trucks on it, you're not going to need as much juice as you are when you do it individually. We have had a big problem here in Long Beach and in Los Angeles about people who work at the ports who've been doing things the same way they've been doing things since 1956. And when they built the Long Beach Freeway way back in 1951, it was really a neat thing. And I don't dispute the fact that when the Long Beach Freeway was built back in the 1950s, it was a really great thing. But you know what? It's not 1951 anymore. And some people have not traveled in time with us.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Like
still
the
this.
whole country is.
Well, you know,
I'm
they
telling
still
you,
wonder
US
why.
has
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so my second question is, how big is your coalition? Like, let's say, you know, you're just talking to us and we love it, and that's 10 of us, but, or 20 of us, but, so how big is your group of people who are working?
We here.
Stella and.
Yeah, Stella.
1, 2.
Two. Well, we have been picking up a lot of interested people. We went to Lavaca, and they're interested because all of their members live in West Long Beach.
That's the
So,
Children's Alliance, Children's
Long-
Thousand Alliance.
so that's
Building
most.
Healthy Communities, Long Beach Coalition for Good Jobs. So we've done presentations for all of these groups. But, you know, I told Stas that I wanted to make sure to get to yes we can, because, you know, a bunch of progressives and rebel rousers and, you know, make things happen
But
here,
no
right?
handcuffs.
No handcuffs.
Yeah, we don't do
Next
year we'll do
No
Uzo chasers.
No Uzo chasers. We'll try and hold up. That's just for Stella.
All right, so my last question is, so what do you need from us again? Say that because I kind of
So
missed it.
we need volunteers to help coordinate working in different council districts. My feeling is we want to focus on the council districts. If we can get representation in each of the council districts in Long Beach, we can encourage the Port Commission to act in the right direction.
Okay, so several of us live in Council Group 3. Susie Price is our councilwoman. We're saying that somebody in this group, like they totally deaf here, but like you want me to go talk to Susie and say, would you do what?
Yes, would you support the Marine Highway idea? Would
First,
you?
Yeah, first could we do a presentation, you know, at whether it's a community organization or meet with her. We haven't met with Councilwoman Price yet, so.
She's
Yeah.
actually pretty open.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I just
So the Port of Long Beach, the Port of Long Beach is a city agency, in spite of what you may have heard. They actually are supposed to do what the city tells them to do. So we want to encourage a grassroots effort because we have a real opportunity here. Los Angeles is a big city. Trying to get the council districts in Los Angeles together isn't going to happen. But here we could really influence the decision. And let me just say, last week Stella and I went to a presentation that the Port of Los Angeles did, which was the day after the State of the Port that John Sanglerup did at the Convention Center. At both venues, the port directors have said a couple of very important things. One, the ports are going to start working really closely together on a number of issues. And one of those issues is going to be emissions and coming up with new environmental initiatives. John Sanglerup says that he wants to create an energy island where the Port of Long Beach and perhaps in partnership with Los Angeles become energy self-sufficient using renewable energy. Now, at the beginning, Stella talked about wind turbines. We haven't talked about that much, but if you have a shipyard and you have a dry dock We have one of those in there somewhere. The picture of our shipyard, do you see that one? Before this? Yeah, okay. This is a shipyard that's being built with Korean help. And this gives you some of the idea of how they're organizing things. So as you can see, first of all, it's much cleaner than you would have remembered it from the Long Beach shipyard days. But they are building wind turbines on the same place that they built ships. There are now floating wind turbines. And floating wind turbines are being built with a 5 to 7 megawatt capacity. So that's 5 megawatts is something that would power 35,000 houses. And they're being built in very deep water. So you wouldn't even see them. They might go out as far as 60 miles. And they're now talking about they built wind farms in Europe, and China and Japan are now in the process of doing that. Japan is building floating wind turbines. If Mr. Slangerup's idea is to go anywhere, the shipyard could be the place to build those floating wind turbines. We could have the ports of LA and Long Beach become energy self-sufficient using wind turbines. And then there was a gentleman from the 350 Coalition who was at the meeting.
That's 350.org.
Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful.
And he talked about one last piece of this, which is community choice aggregations. Does anybody know what that is?
Community choice aggregation.
Okay. About 4 years ago, a new law was passed that allows localities to purchase their own power from whatever source they want, independent of Edison and PG&E.
Is this like Sacramento? Sacramento has this, don't they?
They're municipal. Marin County and Sonoma County and Lancaster are 3 locations now in California that have this. And what it means is that the city of Long Beach could become a CCA, which would not make Mayor Foster very happy, because that
He's not the mayor.
He's not the mayor anymore.
Not the mayor anymore.
Former Mayor Foster. The city of Long Beach could pass a CCA, and it could contract for its own energy from wherever it wanted, complementing what's going on here. The problem we've got is that we're talking about big infrastructure projects that could create a lot of jobs, and it has not gone well in things in the past. And I want to just give you one small story about some of the problems that we've had. There is a company called Gamble Industries, which has a small repair yard on the eastern side of the Gerald Desmond Bridge. If you were to look straight down as you're going over the bridge, they're there. A guy named Bob Stein, who's a very rich guy, had a repair yard, and he had this vision of building a shipyard at the Southwest Marine site, which is in San Pedro, and it's just down across from ports of, if you're looking from ports of call, there's a decrepit old World War II shipyard at about 2 or 3 o'clock across from ports of call. So Mr. Stein had this idea that he would build a shipyard there, and he would repair ships there, and he could build ships there. And he went to the Port of Los Angeles, and they didn't like this idea at all. And he had the endorsement of the Los Angeles and Orange County Building Trades Council. They were talking about having 1,000 workers out there, and the Port of Los Angeles said they didn't want this kind of waste going on in their, listen, the story gets much more interesting. They didn't want this kind of waste of effort going on at the Port of Los Angeles because they had another use for the shipyard.
I can't wait.
Dredge spoils.
Oh, what? Dumping stuff on it.
So they had, so they were, as they were dredging, as they have been deepening the ship channels to accommodate the bigger ships, they go down and they pick up dredge spoils. So the stuff that they're picking up has to go someplace. So they decided to dump it on this shipyard site. Well, Mr. Stein is a rich guy, and he went to Alaska and found that they had been dumping dredge spoils at a site that was a shipyard there too, and there was a way that you could compact that so you could still have the site. The port director at the time, Geraldine Natz, who incidentally used to work at the Port of Long Beach, said absolutely not. And in spite of the fact that Councilwoman Hahn was in support of it and the building trades were in support of it, this thing got kicked out. And Mr. Stein spent $3.5 million trying to make this happen.
Wow.
And the last thing I remember him saying is he went to see the port director, Geraldine Natz, and she said to him, "You're a businessman. I am not letting you define the way I run my port." And she threw him out of her office. And so that was then, this is now. We have been assured by two new port directors, Gene Soroka at Los Angeles and John Slanger at Long Beach, that they're not like that, and that they are going to listen to new ideas. They're going to be outside the box thinkers. They're embracing a new environmentalism. They're promising a big initiative in a couple of weeks. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
So the time is right.
Absolutely.
Joe, you have one last question, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, I was at that the Sierra Club presentation last night, and then that discussed the CCAs, and they said there's a problem in Long Beach, and that Mayor Foster, who used to be the CEO
Right.
of Edison, I entered into a compact that precludes Long Beach from entering into the CCA.
You know something? I've heard that, but you know something? It's state law. If you want to vote, if the city votes for a CCA, I think that it may be, I don't think, yeah, I don't think, this should not be a dumping ground for Southern California Edison, a political dumping ground. And I've heard that, this is that we have a CCA in Sonoma County, and we have PG&E fought this tooth and nail. We have a geyser, so we have a thermal, so we've been able to see a lot of contracts. One of the interesting things is Lancaster decided to become a CCA. The mayor is a Republican, and he made a very interesting statement. He said, "I may be a Republican, but I'm not an idiot."
Now, he's one in a million.
Well, let me explain. There is a self-interest here. What happened is that a lot of farmland outside of Lancaster, as water went up, could no longer be used for farmland. So the city of Lancaster has been turning this farmland into solar farms, and they are now selling. And these are 50 and 100 acre sites. I mean, they're huge. When you drive into Lancaster, it's like, so what they're doing is they are selling solar energy to Marin and Sonoma and other places so that they can get their green energy and renewables. So there's a real interesting thing going on here. And what's happening is the city of Lancaster has now created a lot of jobs around the solar farms because you have to keep them clean, you have to maintain them. There's electricians' jobs, and the city gets revenue because they've got all of this new business. So we need to get around this thing here because Long Beach would be a great place for this, and we could make this a city that was totally renewable. The offshore wind thing is happening. We're actually trying to get a guy who built one in Maine, a prototype. He's coming out in March, and we are looking for some venues for him to talk about how he got started. So maybe we could talk to you guys about, maybe with the Sierra Club, is having him come to speak and he does a demonstration. They floated this one out in Maine last year, and it was a prototype, and it was built on a scale of 1 to 6, so it was 1/6 the size of what a real one would be. But they say that it endured the equivalent of a 60-foot wave during the bad winter last year. So in any case, that's out there. That's another possibility. What we need here is we need you guys who are open to new ideas, who don't have foster economics, who look outside, really outside the box. And the other thing is, somebody was saying before, well, what happens when you go to the Renaissance Hotel and they see all these people? Well, we're hoping we could get you to the Port of Long Beach and they can see you here too, and that will help. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So obviously, you guys, I mean, this is another way that this club can go and advocate for this type of thing. Go to other groups. I mean, how many DEM clubs are there in Long Beach? I think there are 6 or 7. You know, we go, we attend a meeting, we talk about this, and who knows, maybe we could get like an inter-club event where we can invite you,
Oh, that would be
you know, and have like all these different local DEM clubs hear what we hear and advocate together. You know, it's not just us, the Yes We Can Club, it's everybody else. But now that you have this knowledge, you know, you should feel a little bit more emboldened, and since you're knowledgeable about this now and you can watch this, you know, at home and get a little bit more about it, you can spread the word. You know, this is what we have to do is build this grassroots style. Okay, let's take a break because we have to come back. I have some announcements to make, but let's take a quick 10-minute break.
But we have something very important to celebrate. Yesterday was Stuart's birthday.
To you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Stuart, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got some cake in there, Stuart. Okay. Come on.
Get your cake. Thank you guys.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Oh, it looks great, beautiful.
Nice.
Hey,
how you doing?
Okay.
I've got a bottle here, I'm gonna put it on the table here.
How's Pinky doing?
Thank you.
I'll go cut the cake.
Okay.
I hope you like chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
And so
Come back, you guys. Come back.
Oh, is there a raffle? Is there a 50-50 raffle? Okay, so, oh my
Who's gonna
God.
pass that?
Oh, look, and look at this.
Passing the pumpkin. Passing the pumpkin.
Yeah, and look at, and look at this.
Good, how are you?
So it has a chain, it has all that, it has your money, and then your presentation there. So anyway, this is the brand, I got it online.
Those are, whoever made those
Oh,
videos.
man,
love the video, Sam's video, the one from Rotterdam.
Well, and passing the pumpkin, man.
It was.
We're going to Paris and Amsterdam in April, so now I really want to go to
Oh, yeah, I have never been so far in the world.
Where's that little remote thing?
I haven't seen that, come on, I never see that. Famous
Well, it's illegal. It's legal there.
Lots of things are illegal.
Things that are civilized in Europe.
Yeah.
So, once again, Stella, thank you very much, Scott.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for participating tonight and speaking. You know, we're really focused on trying to get everybody that comes to the meetings to get a chance to speak. I'm passing the pumpkin head around. Instead of an opportunity drawing, we're just saying if you've got a couple bucks you want to kick in, that's great. Thank you, Joe, for kicking in some dough tonight. Joe has paid his dues tonight and chipped in an extra $5 for us. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
I'd like to make an announcement, a very important announcement, and it's about the e-board. The e-board, we're really trying to make an attempt to get new people on the e-board. We want some new perspective, and I have 2 members of our club tonight that I have asked to be on the e-board, and I've asked them to be on the e-board because I really love their energy, their dedication, their commitment. They are activists, and I'd like to announce that Phil Geeson and Lonnie Colson are now e-board members. And I'd like to give you an opportunity to say why you think being on the e-board is a good thing. Go ahead, Lonnie.
Okay, I'm excited about being on the e-board because I really do want to actually do things. I really want to use my energy now and this time of my life to really make a difference in the things that I really feel strongly about. And one of the things, Maria, just recently, I'm going to go to this thing in LA called the LA Summit. I used to be I was a social worker, but then I took care of my disabled granddaughter for 12 years, and I worked as an IHSS worker. And so I know the plight of the worker. I know what happened. I lost use of my arm. A lot of things need to happen for people that don't have a voice. And I'm just at a point now where I can help people that don't have a voice, and I'm excited about it.
That's great. Thank you very much. You know, Rhonda's enthusiasm is really contagious, and you know, watching her in action at voter registration tables and talking to people that are sometimes first time voters, that just warmed my heart. I knew a kindred spirit when I saw one. Thank you, Rhonda. Phil, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I just am really impressed with the group, and I see the things that we're looking at, and sometimes we're a little naive, and sometimes we're not too organized, but it really is an opportunity. I mean, some of the decisions that people are making in this world, you know, gun carriers and, you know, racial issues, and we were supposed to be done with them a long time ago. I just can't stand it. And we need to get together and, you know, be able to do something. That's what I want to do and help.
Yay!
Yeah, Phil, aside from carrying a coffin down the street for a couple miles, is always, yeah, he's always out there in the community. He works with a lot of other groups. You know, he's done a lot of tabling for this club, and his gentle and knowledgeable attitude just wins people over, and people will talk with Phil. Phil's not talking at you, he's talking with you. So I'm really happy to have both you guys on the e-board. Thank you very much.
So, Maria, why don't you explain to others what the e-board is, though? I mean,
The e-board right now is, we are the ones that are directing and steering the club in a direction that we think plays to all of your strengths. You know, we don't want to be a body that says, okay, let's see, what can we do? Okay, we're going to do this. And we come back and we tell you guys what we're going to do. You know, we want to get your input. The strategy slam that we started out with, that was designed to get your input on what you think is important. What do you want to work on? The e-board will get together and take this information and figure out a way where we can put this into play. And we really do want to play to your strengths. That's why just tonight we were stressing, you can be doing activism on your level, but you've got to bring something to the table. You have to bring the desire. And you know what? You guys are bringing it because you're coming here. You want to do something. You are engaged. You're active. So that's what the e-board is trying to do, is to gather up your strengths and use them and put them into play to make our community a better place, to make our state a better place, to put us in a better place. Okay? So that's that. Okay. I would like to ask if anybody would like to table tomorrow night. That's doing voter registration and outreach to the community at the Bixby Knolls First Friday. Is anyone interested in doing that or available to do that? It's cool if you're not. You know, I'm gauging the level of interest here because Carol and I don't want to just go out there by ourselves and do it. If other people want to do it, we'll do it. If you don't, that's perfectly fine, because I know it's been a really busy month and, you know, people have been going all over the place. So that's cool. If you, the time that we go to the Bixby Knolls thing is from 6 o'clock till 8:30. It's just 2.5 hours. It's a pretty fun thing to do actually, because the street's alive. I think they're doing this Mardi Gras thing tomorrow night. So if you guys have an interest in doing that, you can call me, email me, say yeah. If anybody says yeah, I will go and do it. Okay. So just think about that. The other thing is, this is a big announcement. You guys know that we've been meeting here for what, 5 years now? Chris Robeson wants his house back. So imagine that, right? So we are going to be moving to Polly's Pie. So next month's meeting, okay, the first Thursday in March, is this meeting will take place at Polly's.
March what?
It's March 5th.
March 5th.
March 5th.
Polly's Pie.
Polly's Pies
Does everyone
Restaurant.
need everyone to be called, or how will you
Email
remember? Email you.
I will send out an email blast to all of you, and you'll click on the link. How many people got the MailChimp blast today? Did you guys get that?
Today.
Okay, you should have got one today. Okay, you'll have to check your
We should
phone.
do that every month at the same time,
Yes.
maybe 2 to 3 days before.
Yes.
The meeting, let's say get it on Monday
I
before the Thursday.
I did it last night at like midnight because I just needed.
Pie is really big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You should check your phone because I got to make sure that you got that. If you are not getting these MailChimp things, then you got to see me because I've got an email address for you that doesn't work. But it's at 4680 Los Coyotes Diagonal. If you guys worked on the campaign for Jose Solorio, it's like right there. It's where the Marshall's Shopping Center is. You guys, yeah, there's an In-N-Out right there on the corner. So our meetings are going to be there, and our meeting time is going to be at 7 o'clock. Okay, so you don't have to dash from
Not
work.
6:30, but 7.
7 o'clock.
I'll put the address on the homepage.
Yeah. And
at the study club meeting, you can order food while they're having the meeting, and you can let people order food. Like
Well,
dinner.
We could do is we could say come at 6:30 if you want to have a little
Right.
snack and have a little
Or-
social time.
Yeah.
At 6:30, and then 7 the meeting can
That'd be
start.
awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So when we go to Polly's Pies, what is the expectancy from Polly's?
they
about
want us to
food?
buy a piece of pie and some coffee is what they want.
Okay, so people need to come prepared to buy something.
Not every single person.
Is it in that room? Is it in that meeting?
Okay, all right, I mean, I just needed to know what's.
We will not be in the main body of the restaurant. They have this really cool patio thing on the street side, and it's got a partition. I mean, it's got glass.
It's enclosed.
It's enclosed, exactly. So we can go in there, and I'm going to ask them if we could bring like a monitor or something and plug something in, because there will be those times where, like tonight, we want to have some sort of presentation, and I'll find out about that. But I just want you to know that we won't be meeting here. We'll probably be doing some functions here, but it's not going to be like every Thursday of every month we're going to have a meeting here. Okay. So that's the big announcement. And I'd like to ask if other people have announcements right now or comments they want to make, please make them. Anybody? Joe, did you want to talk about last night?
Sure, I guess.
Okay.
It's been mentioned somewhere already.
This isn't an amplifier, it's just
All right.
our viewing audience.
How come all the demonstrations I go to wind up with people being thrown up against the cars by the police, though? I should. Anyway, last night there was a very interesting presentation. You've heard a little bit about it from other people already. By at the Sierra Club was sponsored. It's a professor, a physicist, name was Stewart. Climate change expert. He's a retired college professor. Has a PhD in physics from Yale, rather prestigious pedigree. And he was giving us some of the science of global warming. And just give it a very basic. Global warming is very real. It's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It is a challenge of, it's the biggest challenge that we are facing. And the problem is that we're going to cook the earth if we don't do something about greenhouse gases and do something radical and immediate. One of the things he suggested, he pointed out, was trying to stop the development of a natural gas power station at Alamuse Bay. So that's a very big problem. It's going to produce a lot of greenhouse gases if it ever gets online. The other thing is the 710 expansion. That's a huge problem for greenhouse gas. That is something we should try to work with Sierra Club to end. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Joe, how many people were there? How many people went to this thing?
There was a good turnout from this crowd, and actually they thanked us. They, what was it, about 20 people there?
I think there were more than
Closer to 40.
Closer to 40? Okay, I don't see well. I see people sitting next to me. There were about 20 people sitting next to me. It was a good-sized room, and apparently it was about 40 people.
Now, do you think that those 40 people might come here about what Stas was talking about?
Yes, very much.
I think they would very much be interested in working with us.
He would like to talk to us too. He said he would make a talk, so.
Yes.
I'm already thinking, Stas, about how we can get these different groups together and just have a big room where we can all listen to this, you know, and get some input.
Well, there's a couple of things.
Figure out what can we do? How can we advocate for this?
Well, I'm going to be meeting with the president of the Sierra Club sometime soon, so I will. Maybe you could join us, and we could work something out.
Well, maybe you can start a team, you know, and he wants this thing.
Maybe he wants the microphone.
Maybe, you know, we can get you to organize a committee of people that want to work on this. It's going to take committees of us to do these things.
I mean,
teams. Okay, there's the thing. You know, team
we need to
environment
talk.
guy. You know,
What?
team environment guy. But we need to start doing that because
Listen,
that's how we're going to work.
We really need to get this guy Stewart to talk to us because we really need to have a fundamental understanding of this problem. It's a huge problem.
We know a lot about it. Yeah.
But I don't know how do you get that to the public? It's not so much, we need to know how to sell it.
I understand
That's
that.
It's a
We know what
calamity.
to do about it.
What?
He has a list of, he has all these.
Well,
things to
here's
do.
a couple of things we can do about it. I'll give you three things right off the bat. Three things two of which he mentioned, and the third thing, he said, yes, this is something we need to work on. One is 710. Sierra Club, high on their agenda, is to stop the expansion of 710.
Sounds like they are ready to start, and they're
So
natural
that's
allies, so we need to get
Two.
Marie. Yeah, we need to get Marie.
We need to we need to find different sources of electrical generation. That's what they said. They said there's a contact with electric over there.
But
You
you know,
gotta
his,
do that contact.
right, but his power is great. Great.
There's plans, AES is planning to expand electrical production at Alamuse Bay.
AES is
generate
Electrical.
Bay
Right
off of Stewart.
Alamuse Bay, like an
How do I
Alamuse
say
Bay?
it? Yeah. Well, so he says this is number one. He says this is going to be a huge amount of greenhouse gas. The last thing is he presented a pie chart, and it had something kind of similar that I mentioned to this group last summer. 38% of the greenhouse gas in the state of California comes from traffic. If we want to do something about greenhouse gas, most effective thing we can do is get our cushy tushies out of our cars into mass transit. Long Beach is the place. You know, in Bogota, Colombia, they have a mass transit system, bus rapid transit. They have a bus that comes down the road every 10 minutes. It runs from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Imagine that here. Wow. That'd be awesome.
The price of building 300 miles of bus rapid transit
in Bogota, Colombia is equivalent of building one light rail. They've gotten 60% of the cars off the road in
See,
Bogota,
we could do that,
Colombia.
we could do that.
We have a local bus system here.
Yeah, Long Beach can be a testing ground for this and
We
make it obvious to
need
bigger places like LA.
The Sierra Club said they'd be willing to work with us to try to.
They wanted to work with us.
You need to be the point
Yeah.
guy for that and bring us information.
There is-
Stella,
Yes,
yes.
just a real quick reminder, the venue for this might be at our next Green Prize Festival, which is April 25th.
Fittingly,
Fittingly,
I
yes.
like it,
And
okay.
we're gonna have it at Cesar Chavez Park because we want to, go into that community so that, you know, the folks in underserved communities learn more about sustainability.
Maybe by
climate
that time we'll
resilience.
have this video that you presented in Spanish, that would be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. But if you need to have all these groups, have a forum, a salon, whatever you wanna, you know, call it.
That's a
and-
terrific
yeah,
idea.
yeah. So,
That's great.
just there you go.
Okay, well, thank you,
We need
thank
a
you,
few
Joe.
charts to
Another
fire them
event.
up.
Another event.
Yeah.
So we all know it, but people here don't, they don't realize it. We're just
Does
not
anybody else have any other announcements before we adjourn the meeting? Yes,
I do.
yes, Lynn.
I have a friend that has a charity that helps the homeless, the mentally ill, and foster kids that are transitioning out of the system. And their fundraiser this year is, they're collecting shoes. Shoes.
Wow, any kind of shoe.
Any kind of shoes,
Any
new, slightly used. If you have shoes in your closet,
And who
would
does
you
not?
put them in a bag?
Yes.
Shoot me an email. I will pick them up. They're trying to collect $2,500. I mean, 2,500 shoes.
Oh, wow.
Now-
I could probably give you half of them right
That's why, here,
Oh, I love
I'm
that.
going to leave the flyer on the desk here, you can look at it. My email is smothersreese, all one, at AOL.com. Smothersreese, REESE.
When do they need the shoes by?
I think she told me they're gonna collect them through March.
I'll tell you what then. So at the next meeting, if everybody bring your shoes, I'll put that in the email blast.
Okay.
Right?
Let me double check with her.
Okay.
I think she told me through March.
Okay, all right.
Vinny won't be here.
Oh, well,
Oh, that's true.
we'll miss you, Vinny. Okay, you guys, on that note, I want to thank everybody for coming. It was a small group tonight, but it was a powerful group. So drive safely. We'll see you guys in March. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.